So let's not address all issues at once. I want to go to Sree Iyer, who's founder of the website PGurus, and he's joining me now. Sree, you've been waiting for a long time. Sorry, good morning. This is Arnab here. Your broad expectations, elections are over. They are behind us. I've seen one thing this time, that the index of volatility in the run-up to the budget of the stock market has been remarkably low, almost neutral. Is this because people have no expectations, market have no expectations, or low expectations?
It's probably the latter. My take on this whole thing is that if India can create some confidence in the foreign markets, that they can feel that India's financial markets are transparent enough for them to come in and invest, believe me, a lot of money is going to be coming into India. What we are seeing is just a trickle. It will become a flood, but the financial markets need to show some transparency. I can give you any number of examples. There was a scam in NSE. Nobody is going to jail. You have to put some people in jail because the kind of crime that has been committed is very, very big. Likewise, I would like to see that India reduce or give income tax, personal income tax holiday for 2 years. And that's like a 4 lakh crore shortfall. If you don't do that, the savings will not go up, and if the savings rate doesn't go up, your GDP is not going to go up. India is a savings-based economy. We are not a consumption-based economy. I think a lot of people keep wrestling with this thing, that India is a consumption-based economy. The rural India cannot consume. They don't have the money.
Yes, I get your point. I also know that you have been particularly pursuing a number of cases out here which you want to take it to its logical conclusion. And if you just look at it nowadays, everyone's so scared of the Enforcement Directorate. Almost every day the ED comes in with some action or the other, and I'd like to welcome everyone. Can I have a long shot of Jim, please? Jim, good morning. Jim, good morning.
I will say that India is always
India is always entertaining. If you watch Republic TV, it's quite a show. Yes.
You should hire these guys to come every day.
Yes.
I'm delighted that India has a lady presenting the border. I'm extremely keen on females, especially Indian females. But we need to see a lot more than that in India. Mr. Modi is very, very good at public relations. Everybody in the world loves him. But let's get some substance. Let's increase savings. Let's increase investment in India. Let's cut the debt. Let's stop the deficit. I've heard for years how they're going to cut the deficit, and they never have, despite promises for decades. Come on, let's get some substance.
No, 1 second. Are you making a mistake? Do you think you are talking about Zambia or India, Jim? I mean, come on. The rest of the world has blinkers on. The rest of the world has gone into slumber. There is no economic growth except in North Korea. And North Korea is leading the economic curve for the rest of the world. And you're preaching to India. I mean, we are here growing at 7 to 8%. You're talking about government and governance. You know very well what's going to happen in the future. Donald Trump is crying. Every day he says, please bring down the high tariffs. India is the only attractive market which is possible, as a possible destination. And yet, the problem is the rest of the world is crying. Which other market, which option does the world have except India? Tell me. Which option? China is slowing down, right? China is stagnant. Besides India, which other part of the world has any potential?
That's a very dangerous statement.
India's
Tell me.
Yeah,
I think, I need to take him on 1 second. Jim gets away with everything every time. Yes, Jim?
You ask for other alternatives. You can invest in Russia. You can invest in Venezuela, which is a
You're going to invest in
now.
Russia? You're serious? Oh my God. And what do you find attractive about Russia?
I'm investing in Russia today, as we speak.
What do you find attractive in Russia? What is it about Russia? Tell me.
They have huge. You want to hear or not?
I want to hear. I want to hear something that makes sense. Please go ahead.
Okay, they have huge natural resources. They have very little debt. India has very, very, very high debt. It has a huge budget deficit. Russia does not. Russia has an open currency. It's a convertible currency. You can buy and sell. It has open markets. You can buy and sell Russian stock without complications. You can buy and sell Russian bonds without complications. What are you talking about? It's much more attractive than India.
What's the aggregate demand?
Okay, one second. Yeah, Vishal, 1 second. You are in a la-la land of your own. I have with me Sree Iyer from California. We really, I mean, you know, you've said bizarre things before, but I haven't heard something more bizarre than this. I mean, look at the whole world. United Kingdom is in a complete slowdown. You don't know whether it's coming or going post-Brexit. As far as Russia is concerned, the only place to invest there is in Siberia, which is where 3,000 North Korean workers are sent every time. And the North Koreans and the Russians are the new axis in the world. As far as no, you tell me which other country you're talking about. Russia, I mean, it's such a joke. You are going to next say you're going to invest in Australia and Saudi Arabia. Listen, these are not investment opportunities. What is happening is the rest of the world has negotiated too hard with India so far, Sree, and India is going to give it back right now. These are all mirages. You know, Russia comes to India to seek investment, Sree. Do you believe what Jim is saying? Can you believe what Jim is saying, Sree?
I presume from listening.
Well, I think you have to temper. You have to temper what he is trying to say. That India's currency is not convertible. I disagree. It's only partially not convertible. India's current account is convertible. It's just the capital account that's not convertible. And that's what goes back to my original point. You need to make India's financial sector more transparent in order for foreign investors to look at the thing and say, okay, here are my risks and here are my rewards. The market size of India is huge. Russia doesn't even come to a fraction of that. Okay, yeah. But to show the market that I have so many consumers, but not back it up with a transparent way to put the money in and take the money out. The Vodafone case, for example, those are the kind of things that the foreign investor looks at and gets wary. You need to make sure. I'm telling you again, some people need to go to jail. I've spent 4 years trying to do so much investigative reporting. Put some people in jail, for God's sake. That will give the confidence that India means business.
Well, absolutely. What I appreciate about you is that if you have a one-track mind. I ask you about agriculture, you'll say put people in jail. I ask you about subsidies, you'll say you put people in jail. You know, one thing which I must admire you for. Everything is for the fourth time.
Even if we are the fastest growing economy in the world.
Yeah.
Arnab, there is definitely a case to make it better and more investment friendly. And just one very quick, because I have got a number of messages
I have with
because
me
perhaps
N. Balakrishnan. He is the president of the Cool Investor, ex-financial journalist, China Daily. He's joining me from Malaysia. So Malaysia, California and Singapore live. You know, Mr. Balakrishnan, please take on Jim Rogers. You know, I don't know what he's talking about. He's not talking about the size of the market. You see, this is the typical negotiation strategy. You want to make an investment in a big company, you'll go to first question, its valuation. But then you've also got to look at the top line of the company. I mean, he's comparing apples and oranges. He's comparing Russia with India. Balakrishnan, Bala, do you want to just respond there to what Jim said?
I'm not an expert on Russia, but many books have been written about how corrupt Russia is.
Yes.
One by Browder, who was the son of the Communist Party of USA, the chief at the time, and he was a big Russia booster. And after he had such bad experiences, he has written a book chronicling how Russia is, how deep the corruption of Russia is. And I read it. It makes fascinating reading. And I'm not so sure Russia is a good place to put money in, take it out. Having said that, you know, all the other experts have said that, you know, India needs a big stimulus. You know, Indians and Indian government tend to be very conservative. And I think we should get past this deficit fetish and borrow big and invest big. You know, the global situation now is that bankrupt countries like Greece and Italy are able to borrow from the international market at 2%. And low growth countries like Germany and Japan, you know, borrow at negative interest rates. People give them money to keep it safe for them, you know, negative interest rates. India is a young population and very good growth opportunities. Given this, you should be able to borrow at relatively low rates as long as it convinces the international investors about this. I think India should have a very good PR effort on this part and ignore these international credit agencies. they do not have, India's interest at heart, and neither do they have a track which is going forward.
Yeah.
So I think India should borrow big and invest big in infrastructure. That's my advice.
Yeah, I would agree. Yes, Sree. As long as you don't say arrest more people. Yeah, go on, Sree. He has a one-track mind. It's admirable. I haven't seen a person like this.
No. I just want to add to what he was saying. See, if the personal income tax is reduced to zero, give a 2-year tax holiday on personal income tax and encourage people to save. Meaning put the money in banks, increase the savings rate, okay, and then start printing more money for infrastructure projects, then the world will take acknowledgement of the fact that India is trying to refinance its banks, and then the banks can start lending. We have this big NPA load on our back, and we don't know how to solve it, because as soon as you try to get somebody to, claw back the money that is stashed away in tax havens, they go to law, they go to different courts, they try to stay this thing on, they try to push it back as far as possible. So until, so you can't wait forever for that money to come back in. In the interim, what India could do is, give personal income tax holiday for 2 years and encourage people, say, don't go and buy like something that you don't really need.
It's all right for you to say that. It's not going to happen. That's the Subramaniam Swamy model. Unfortunately, Mr. Subramaniam Swamy is not the finance minister of India, though he would very much like to be, I can assure you. But because he's not the finance minister of India, I think we can forget that aspect. It's not going to happen. It's wishful thinking. It's just wishful thinking, please. Wishful thinking. MR wants to say something. MR, yeah.
Adam, the most important thing in your investment-driven model that the economic advisor has put up across is that the consumption will be export-driven. When it is export-driven, the key important variable is your exchange rate. How are we going to manage our exchange rate? We don't have a clue. The RBI makes a motherhood statement that it will be market driven, which means if everything goes well, credit is on me. If things go bad, then you take your hands off. The exchange rate has led to the devastation of the East Asian crisis,
Yeah.
So if we are going to have an export driven model with an investment within India, both locally and from foreign, we have to necessarily, the national hedge on the rupee must be a policy which must be spelled out in the budget. You can't have a free fall or a free rise.
Yeah.
Both ways are making it clear. Rupee cannot be traded at 80 tomorrow. Rupee cannot be traded at 60 tomorrow. Yeah. The Chinese model.
Why are you responding to all that Jim Rogers has said out there? This is a person who's in denial out here about India being a $5 trillion economy. He's also always had concerns about investing in India. On the one hand, US and India are engaged in a tariff war, while India has retaliated to the US by increasing tariffs on 28 items. And on the other hand, we are witnessing a truce in the US-China trade war as Washington promises to put on hold any tariffs. I think he reflects that mindset. He would.
Jim, if you are not seeing India as an investment destination now, I am sorry that something seriously is wrong with your strategic investment team. That's all I will say.
You know what happened?